Righto guys, we have got our first unboxing going on. This one is going to be the Oscillaris 1400 UVC. We've also got a few other goodies that I'm going to put in the tank there as well. This is going to be my challenge, is to make the ugliest tank that I own actually look kind of good. No, we'll see how we go. It's pretty damn ugly. Righto, let's get into it. I've set up a few of these, so I'm kind of familiar with how they go, but I thought I get a fair few customers coming in not too sure and having trouble trying to set these canister filters up. So I figured maybe if they could see what I'm talking about when I'm trying to swamp them with information, they might actually get a bit of a better idea on what I'm talking about. Okay, first off at the bat, we just want to take the whole unit out and take it apart. Okay. This one here has got the UV sterilizer in here. This one does have a screw on there as well, as you can see. So to take that off, you have to unscrew, then take it off. It's got a glass sleeve, it's got a 5-watt UV globe in there as well. Keep in mind, there is an O-ring on there as well. So you always, if you do mess around with it, make sure you put a little bit of O-ring grease on there and then tidy it up and clamp it down pretty well as well. Impeller, same thing, it's got a couple of screws on there as well, and then the impeller in there as well. If your canister filter is making a hell of a racket, sometimes that can be broken in there as well. If it's also just not working the way it should be or how good it was at a previous time, that's the first thing you want to check out there as well. Pretty standard, I've always got the basket there just to keep all the filter media kind of in there. 3 baskets set up in there as well. Okay. We've got a couple of clips on the side which holds it all together, which does make it a bit convenient when it comes to cleaning the canister filter out. Remember the top one, it's always going to have the filter floss in there. Next one, we've got your bio noodles in there, and then we've got the substrate in there as well. So we'll just double check. Okay, we have the filter floss in there, then we also have a black sponge. So that's going to be our polishing of the canister filter there as well. Then we've got your noodles here as well, and another sponge there as well. I normally put the noodles at the bottom of the tray here. I don't know if that's the correct way, but I mean, it's how I'm going to do it. It's how I've always done it there as well. You can give these guys a bit of a rinse out there as well. They sometimes will have some white kind of powder or residue going on there as well. I mean, it's a filter itself, essentially itself. It's going to kind of filter out that stuff as well. So I wouldn't be stressing too much over it as well. Now when it comes to cleaning these canister filters, one thing you want to do is try not to touch this stuff too much. I normally give myself about 10-15 minute time line to clean these canister filters out. If it's taking more than that, then I would get pretty concerned that I'm just actually killing and doing more damage to the filter than what I need to. This sponge here, I always clean this out as thoroughly as I can. Bit of conjecture on there, some people say clean in the aquarium water, some people say don't clean it much at all. I find if I don't touch this biomedia here, then I should give this one a really good clean out there as well and just get that as clean as possible. Make it a bit easier for me to not have to get back in here in a while. Next one here, same deal. Got another blue sponge on there, a bit more coarse. And this one here is, it's like a ceramic substrate stuff there as well. It's up decent, it's tinted glass, so these ones here, or ceramics, you can get really cheaper quality ones, that's for sure. This one's not too bad. I mean, stuff like the Matrix, which I was going to put some of that in there as well, but I mean, honestly, this canister comes with a fair bit of filter media in there as well, so I don't really see too much, I can't really fit too much in there. So unless I was going to trade out some of this stuff, I'm not going to worry too much, but I feel like for the load that I'm going to put on there in the tank, I feel like it's going to be enough biomedia, that's for sure. Okay. Clamp them back on there. Clamp that one back on there. Okay, there's a little channel you can see down the side there with that black one there. That's how you know which way to go there as well. So always try to line that up. If you are having trouble when you putting the canister filter back together, you can't get it lined up, I dare say you probably just messed up there as well. This bloody tray, I always forget to put that in there, so make sure you do that as well. Everything looks pretty hunky-dory, so we'll put that on there and then we'll go from there. So clamping back on there. Make sure you don't get the electrical cord clamp up underneath there and clamp it in there as well. And that's pretty good to go. Next thing we're going to go through is some of the fittings that it comes with. It comes with your tap set here. Tap set here is a lever tap set. So what that means basically is when you go to clean it off, you can leave all the hoses and everything connected up to the tank. You can just kind of remove this tap set here. We'll just pull these levers back here. That should lock into there. It should do, but not getting it in there. And then yeah, you pull those levers to lock it in there as well. So why was it not one locking in there? Always on camera, always looking there. There we go, got that in there snug. It should fit snug. If it was loose like I had it there before, you're definitely not locking it in properly. As you can see, a little bit of dust there left over from that biomedia, but I'm not too worried about that stuff there as well. It's only just gets cleaned out. We're going to be using a white sand in there, so it's not going to cause too much issue. Okay. Pretty simple setup. There's your walking sticks there as well. This one here is going to be for your pickup. Pretty long. I might shorten this off as well. I normally just use some pipe cutters to shorten them off if I do want it a bit longer there as well. Comes with a couple of different extra fittings for the intake into the tank there. So you can have either a spray bar assembly on there or the duck build. That is the duck build there as well. So keep in mind you don't need to use every part that everything comes with there as well. Spray bar sets up pretty simple. I don't think I will run the spray bar in this tank here. I'm not a huge fan of there. I find they just kind of look pretty ugly, hang on the back of the tank. I do prefer the duck bill, so I think that is what I'm going to be running on the tank here. So that simply just slides on like that, and then that will kind of slide on like that. And then I'll be able to kind of move this around depending on where I want the water level to go. Off there. Okay. And there should be a little strainer somewhere, unless I've lost it. Oh. Ooh, had me worried there for a second. I thought they short-chained me. So this one's an Aqua One canister filter. They do a few different ones. They're our preferred supplier for canister filters. I do the Fluvels or Waze's, the Aqua Ones, but I do find that getting spare parts to these things is very easy. You know, we carry a huge range of them. They've always been really supportive on that after-sales service there as well. That's pretty much the reason why we're big Aqua One. I mean, the price is comparable and everyone's always looking for the best deal. And we are as well when we're trying to buy them in the shop there as well. So we're always looking for our value for money as well. But I do find these guys will definitely help us out if we're having issues, everything like that as well. Hose always comes with a fair bit of hose. When you set the hose up on the canister filter, one thing to keep in mind is you don't want to have any loops in the hose. What that's going to mean is you're going to get air locks in there as well. It gets really hard to prime up, and the number one complaint I get with these canister filters is I can't get it started there as well. So we're going to go through that, but there's one thing to keep in mind. When you set the hoses up, it doesn't have to be tight, but you don't want to have it like a big loop going in there as well. Otherwise, you're just going to be battling through this thing all the time. Okay, so 2 lengths of hose here as well. Pretty simple to put this on there as well. Goes onto the taps there, kind of just pushes on there, and then the nut gunner goes up there. So I wouldn't sit there and try to like get multi-grips on there or anything like that. You don't want to tie, and I normally just give it a bit of a wiggle. And if it's not pulling out then you've definitely got it on tight enough there as well. So that one seems pretty good. I'll normally set it up on the canister filter like this, and then I will kind of go through. Once I get it closer to the tank and where I've got it in position, I will shorten the hose off there. I'm just going to use a pair of scissors to cut this stuff. This hose isn't too bad. When you get to the thicker hose, sometimes using a pair of pipe cutters does make it a little bit easier. Just make sure if you're using a Stanley knife or something, you're not slicing your fingers open. Okay, all right, I'll move this over into place. One thing I'm going to do is I am going to pop this filter in this tub. So the reason why I do that is mainly if it does leak, it gives me a little bit of action to figure out like if there is a problem there as well. When it comes time to cleaning, if I spill any water, it's going to be in the tub there as well. And it simply just makes it a lot easier to take the whole thing out, take it outside, clean it all up, and then slide it back in there. Right off, I'll see you on the next part. Here is my pink beauty. This tank here, it's about 4 foot by 18 by 18. It is pretty horrendous, I have to say. We'll see how we go. I've got a 3 foot bookshelf underneath here. I don't know if I'm going to set that up. I've got a 2-year-old kid. I've got 3 kids and I've got a 2-year-old, and having anything low to the ground like that is just asking for trouble. So we'll think about that one. Primarily, we're going to set this one up here as well. Now, it's a pretty old tank. We've got lots of scratches on there. We've got lots of calcium lines on there. I think it's going to be a good project to see if we can make this tank look pretty decent on there. the moment I've just got 2 sponge filters in there. I've had them set up in another tank, so I've just kind of like let them go in there as well. And I mean, I need a lot of work on here. I've got a Fluval Aqua Skylight on there as well. I had lying around. Privileges of owning a pet shop is you have some pretty cool stuff lying around, but then you kind of get some other stuff that you just don't know what the hell you're going to do with it. And you know, I've got a couple of rocks that we just kind of collected around the local creeks and that when I've been around with the kids there as well. I mean, local farmland that we own. At any rate, there's a few quarries and whatnot around we can go to around my area there as well. So I do try and find some unique ones, but I do have a huge selection of rocks. I am going to mix it up a bit. Not too sure fish-wise what I'm going to chuck in here yet, but I am thinking of going some blockhead or humphead cichlids. I just got some in the shop the other day, and I can't stop myself looking at them, honestly. I think if I get a nice colony of those, it'd be pretty good there as well. Let's set up the canister. As you can see now, I've got the canister in place here. Ideally, I would have the hoses at opposite end of the tanks, just so we get even flow. I can't really do it on this tank here. Mainly, I wasn't really thinking too much when I put it there. I put it against the wall. I'm also not too worried there as well. I've got the intake pickup there as well. I'm not going to lie, I am going to put an intake sponge over that as well, mainly because when I put these fish in here, I will try to breed some of them as well, just a bit of fun. I'm only going to have one species in there. I'm not going to mix it up. I'm going to be very disciplined this time and I just have that blockheads in there. I've decided in the whole 5 minutes it took between video takes that that's exactly what I'm going to do. And yeah, so hopefully we can get them to breed. Now, I've positioned the outflow, kind of go across the tank that way there as well. I might end up putting like a little wave maker or a little power head at the other end there just to get a bit more flow, but I'll probably just end up running another sponge filter down there and seeing how it goes. I'm going to use quite a fine white sand on here, so I don't know, it'll be easy to tell if we get like waste kind of hanging there, so that's it. Anyway, enough talking, let's get this thing working. Now I've plumbed it all up, as you can see I've cut the hose. This is about as much hose as I cut off there as well, so not too much. What's that, like maybe 45 centimeters? So I've got enough there to kind of wiggle around with it as well. Now this one does have a primer, and all canisters do have a primer on there, and honestly they are just going to drive you insane. I don't rate them too much that they work. I don't think that they do stuff all, but I get a lot of people who end up breaking them or just getting really frustrated because they can't get it working. And I just think, mate, just forget about it. Let's do this simple trick. So as you see, we've got the intake in there. It's hooked up to the inline there. Now I'm going to take the outtake here, and I'm not afraid of a bit of aquarium water. So what I'm going to do is give it a bit of a suck. Now I can hear this thing cranking up and filling up. Now what you can also do, you've got a bit of time here, so you don't have to rush it too much. But if you put this end in here, you will see bubbles coming out there as well. That means that what had happened is, as the water's going down, it's pushing that air out there. I never fill my canister filters up before I start. I feel like that's where people run into issues, is they get an air pocket there that they can't push through. This way here is the way I've done it after setting up many canisters and having pulling my hair out, and I feel this always kind of works. So as you can see, the bubbles are still going there. It's come to an end now. Now it's time to plug it in, and fingers crossed this one works. And away we go. First time. So yeah, I get a lot of people who kind of like fill this whole unit up and then they'll try and prime it. And I think what happens is you end up with water in both pipes there and an air pocket in there, and it just doesn't have enough force to push that air pocket out all the time. So the way I do it there is normally the best way I feel to do it there as well. Now when it comes time to cleaning this thing, definitely is not as hard. What you want to do is you undo these taps here, take the tap unit out, and if you leave all those pipes still in the water there, it's going to hold the suction in, basically hold the water in there. When you go and open it up, because the water is going to fall down, it's going to start another siphon and it's going to fill it back up there as well. So there's no need to fill the canister filter up on there as well. Same thing will happen. Bubbles will kind of come through. Once that stops, plug it in. Hopefully, away you go, no dramas. Keep in mind that if you are having trouble and you're pulling your hair out and you can't get it working no matter what you do, I mean, there could be something wrong with it, but what I always like to do is pop that little basket off down there, get your garden hose, jam it up the end there, turn it on, and what that's going to do is it's going to blow water all the way through and push out any airlocks that could be in there as well, because generally that's all it is. Away it goes, canister filter's done, don't have to worry about it for another 2 months. Okay, Now this one does have a UV on there. I'm not going to run the UV. I've just seen it come on there. So it's obviously working. That's a good sign. You can actually see this one here. The light that's actually in there is the light of the UV. So if it's not working or it's not bright or anything like that, it means that the bulb's blowing. UV glows are normally worth 6 to 12 months, depending on what you're trying to do. Some people will go for parasites on there as well. It's pretty small and it probably won't do the job on that as well. It will do somewhat stuff. It will really help with just polishing up that water, and it will be coming crystal clear when you have UV on there as well. So that's one of the real benefits. If you want parasite control, again, it will do something, don't let me, but you really want to go a lot bigger. I'm going to turn that off, mainly because it can also kill beneficial bacteria as it flows through the canister filter and comes out the other end there as well. Because it's a new canister and we're trying to get it all cycled, we don't really want to attack the bacteria like that. We just want to let it do its thing and just rock and roll and grow out. So we get a little bit of flow on there. You can see my dodgy little creek collected hornwort is starting to move around there. What I'm going to do is add some more sand onto there, add some rock work on there, and we'll snap back, and hopefully it looks 20% better than what it does now. Let's see how we go.